Coming to you from Crash Studios in Music City, USA, Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show. On this episode, celebrity event guru, entrepreneur, and speaker, Angela Proffitt. And now, Rich Redmond.
What is up, rock and rollers? Rich Redmond here. This is another episode of the Rich Redmond Show, coming to you live from beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, Crash Studios. Of course, my co-host, co-producer, Jim McCarthy.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
Doing well. How are you?
Feeling great today?
I am.
You're so reliable. Your look, you come over here, you got a big smile on your face, you got a JMVO shirt.
You like the shirt, don't you?
You're constantly advertising and branding.
That's right.
I love that.
It's the same exact shirt every time.
Do you know that I'm very excited today because
It smells.
I have a new friend.
What?
She's an old friend for you.
Yes,
New friend for me.
Yes.
She is a elite event planner, top of her field, an event planning guru. Miss Angela Proffitt is here. Yeah. How are you? Give her some. Some applause.
Woohoo! I love it.
And you know what's really great is that all of us have been on each other's podcasts.
Yes.
I have been on your podcast.
Yep.
And we have both been on Jim's podcast, JMVO Weekly Primer.
Or Jim's podcast.
Or Jim's podcast. And what now? Remind me, what is yours called? It's a business podcast.
Business Unveiled.
Business Unveiled, and it's a largely female audience.
It is.
I loved doing it, knowing that. I was like, I am just going to priss and prance my way. And I made sure that and I wasn't even on camera that day, but I had like really tight pants on.
You weren't wearing pants. Okay.
I called in from LA, but yeah, it was.
You were on the beach.
2 hours earlier there.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I was having my coffee. So if you had a wild and crazy day, you're our third victim today.
Yay.
Yeah. But I'm so excited to talk to you because you are a ball of energy. You get a lot of stuff done. Beep. And you know, your event planning. I mean, we're talking like celebrity events, weddings, bar mitzvahs, birthdays, anniversaries, galas, fundraisers, corporate events. You know, I talk all the time about like musicians, and they're like, oh, woe is me. The music business is dead, and I'm a creative, and I have to work a day job, and I can't get any work. All these things that you've mentioned, that I mentioned right here, weddings, bar mitzvahs, funerals, birthdays, anniversaries, galas, all musicians can work those events, but they need a tuxedo. And most musicians don't like wearing tuxedos. I like it. I like the little bow tie.
Sometimes.
Do you work with a lot of musicians, or is it more DJs?
We work for clients or for vendors?
For big events. Like, you know, like are you in charge of that, or do you say, that's not my lane?
Oh, no. I'm a control freak.
So soup to nuts.
Yeah. So I want to control the experience for everyone. Mm-hmm. So I would say most of our clients hire a band.
Okay.
We're in Music City, USA. So how can you not? And a lot of our clients will do a band, and then they'll have a DJ from like 11 to 1 for like the after party. Yeah. We work with DJs too, but I would say mostly bands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now, how long have you been in this business?
Oh my gosh. So almost 20 years.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in Nashville 23 years. So right about the same time you were. And now, what was your background? Did you study hospitality services, restaurant management? No?
No. Well, my family had a venue on the Mississippi Gulf Coast when I grew up. So I kind of on the summer, I would kind of like go down there and cut pie and pour sweet tea.
Nice. Chess pie.
Yes. Well, wedding cake and, pie. And so I grew up around it, but I never saw myself in the hospitality industry. I knew that I loved people, and I knew that I loved to help people. And I was a gymnast growing up and highly competitive, which taught me structure because I don't really like to be structured. I like to do fun, wild things. Yeah. But it was about a relationship. And one of my students knew that I was good with people. And she's like, you're going to go to college and like, you're going to go to nursing school. And I'm like, I guess, I don't know. That sounds good.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, I work at a morgue. So why don't you come down and work with us and see if you like the whole nursing thing? And I didn't know what a morgue was.
Yeah.
But I said yes because I liked her. Mm-hmm. And so my first introductory healthcare job was at a morgue with dead people.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I was a really good student in anatomy when I did go off to school. And I was really good at working with dead people.
Yeah.
This is so morbid.
Did you have to like do makeup and prep them and stuff?
So that's what the funeral home people do.
So
like
we would
gotcha. Pull out the
Gotcha. Yeah, they got it prepared.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We would pull it out to find out like cause of death and things like that. It's very interesting. I learned
Autopsies.
a lot.
So you have a strong stomach.
Oh yeah, totally. Nothing grosses me out.
Yeah.
But this is what does gross me out. And I learned it in nursing school doing clinical rotations.
Yeah.
I cannot give like live people shots and inflict pain on them. And so that day when I was my first day of clinicals, I'm like, I can't do this.
You mean like a phlebotomist drawing blood?
Yes, like on a real person. So I changed my major to psychology.
Yeah.
And ended up graduating with a degree in psychology. I worked in a mental health hospital. Worked at an AIDS clinic. Wow. So 10 years in healthcare helping people was my real job. That's my background.
Well, now you're helping people. You're bringing their vision to life of something they have in mind. So you customize events to match their vision. And just to give some clarity and some depth, you worked with a lot of celebrities, including Jason and Brittany's wedding, right?
Yes,
Jason
in Mexico.
Yeah. And then any other celebs? I'm sure, right?
All of my clients are VIPs.
Right.
How I like to reframe and say it is our clients that are in the public eye.
Sure.
We work with a lot of people in the public eye, not just in music, but politics and things where I don't really follow that stuff. So I half the time don't know who people are.
So you're not starstruck, which is great. You just treat them like,
I mean, they're
you treat
people.
Everyone the same. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
However, people that are in the public eye, we actually have to take a lot more precautions, a lot more security. I've been married probably 520 times because everything's under my name,
right. Never
the clients. But I've worked with Kelly Pickler, who is on American Idol, and Kyle Jacobs, who's an awesome songwriter. Yeah. Hillary Scott from Lady Annabelle on friend Chris's wedding in New York. Patrick Carney from the Black Keys, drummer.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
Sure.
But in country music, no matter where I am in the world, it's funny because, in Europe, different people follow different types of music. But it seems like in country music, people know, no matter where you are in the world, who Jason is and Lady Annabelle. They may not know Hillary's name, but they know Lady A.
Yeah.
And they know Kelly. And most rock fans around the world know who the Black Keys are.
Sure.
Yeah. So those are the most probably notable. But we work with a lot of different kinds
I love
of people.
that. And how many do you have how many people are on your team?
Well, part-time, we have about 12 main people that GSD, get stuff done. And we are all not like-minded at all. Yeah. So we focus on various things when we're executing an event. But in terms of planning and design, we're a small team. There's 3 of us, and I'm a control freak. Yeah. So just 3 of us, working on things full-time.
Yeah, but you have some help. Having some help is great. But let me tell you something. I got to experience one of your events firsthand working as a MC.
And it was literally, you guys, the most hard, scared, which you didn't arrive until after the 2 tornadoes came through.
I got there when it downpoured and I had to set up a PA system. And what I appreciated about you weren't there cracking the whip. You were getting in the mix with everybody, getting dirty, getting sweaty, working her butt off.
That was disgusting.
Yeah, but I didn't notice that part of it. But
I threw my clothes away and my shoes.
Yeah, but you were right there in the mix with everybody.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's all I know how to do.
That's something that's I can appreciate that, and I think a lot of people that work with you probably appreciate it as well.
Yeah, I can definitely say I would never ask someone to do something for me that
you wouldn't do. Right?
Exactly, that I hadn't done.
Right.
Or I wouldn't do. And I'm like, come on, guys, I worked in a morgue. I pretty much do anything.
Yeah. And you have a little bit of a background in psychology. You studied psychology,
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm pretty psycho, in a positive way. Every event that we do. Yeah, no, not like those movies.
Pretty psycho.
I am. Yeah. No, not in a bad. People are like, is that why you're not married? I'm like, I work in an industry where people It's not what you think it is.
Right.
It's not like butterflies and rainbows and fairy dust. And yes, there are magical moments. However, getting to that magical day isn't always so freaking magical. But yeah, I learned a lot about people and a lot about psychology. I mean, clearly that's what I studied.
Yeah.
But when I really learned about people is when I worked with them hands-on with suicidal victims. I was a therapist. And so working through those different personalities and how to reframe and understand the way I needed to deliver my message to them so that they needed to hear it the way they could swallow it.
Yeah.
So customizing everything. So every event, every wedding, every business we work in, everything is customized. And I will drill on you until like you come up with your answer. Because a lot of, they don't know until someone challenges them to think a little bit differently to how to make this your event.
Yeah. Oh, it is not pretty. I mean, from someone who's played so many corporate parties and so many hotel grand openings and so many bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs, it's like doors are in 3 minutes and the salads aren't plated yet. Where's my band? I mean, it's like, hello, you're in charge of all of that. And I've met a lot of wedding planners that just are not people person. They're not people. And it's
long. I mean, just leading up to it, the amount of hours you put in. I mean, that day we worked together was probably an 18-hour day for you.
26.
Holy moly.
26 hours.
And here
That's
I am,
going
dude.
into the other day without sleep.
I'm getting to 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. And I'm going, I just want to go home. I'm exhausted.
What were you? Were you emceeing at 1 in the morning?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was emceeing, and I basically, because you didn't have it, you had a band, but they were at a different part of the venue. And
So the things with me and bands is that, and there's lots of bands in town that are amazing entertainment, but they're all about them.
right.
And so, but when you're hired for a wedding, it's not all about you.
Right.
I hate to burst your bubble, but there is a timeline and there are certain things where I need your help getting people to shut the F up and to pay attention, to be frank. And so we've had so many, like, again, amazing fun bands, but they don't have a strong MC. They don't have a strong voice. And that band where you worked was a family friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really do that.
But you probably have a short list of go-tos that are like, they're always going to do the job for me and they're easy to work with.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work that way.
Because
these
if they're not out there,
days.
I'll put it together. Because I tell you what, I have seen in markets like, Los Angeles and Dallas, that there sometimes is the band that works the most and is making well into the six figures as a band is they're not even the greatest musicians, but they're great business people. They show up, they realize that it's not about them. They're team players. Okay, what are we playing when the bride and the groom enter the room? What's the first dance? That whole thing. And being super pro about it, that band is going to work all the time because then you're going to tell your other event planner friends about them, and then it's good news travels fast.
Absolutely.
Right.
And yeah, it's all about relationships. It really is. Like our top 3 go-to bands, they play a ton of luxury weddings. They provide DJ services, and the lead guy, he's an amazing MC, and like he gets it and he understands that when we need to get 553 drunk people out front at 1 a.m. because I have fireworks about to go off.
Yeah.
Like he gets it done.
It's like herding cats.
Oh God, it's so bad.
It is definitely an acquired talent.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was a surprising thing for me was trying to figure out the formatics of how a wedding progresses. And then, because I was working with Aja, I'm sorry, AJA, like the Steely Dan song, which I think was very interesting.
Yeah.
And she was world class and kind of, holding my hand. Okay, what are we doing next? Because I'm a radio guy, and one of the biggest things in radio is know where you are, know where you're going. So, okay, we're here. What are we doing next? Where is this transitioning to? So I really had to be on top of that and also bring the flair of a ringleader to the circus in a way, but also stay out of their way. Which, but the most fun for me was actually doing like the ring announcer type style of announcing the wedding party.
I love it. Give us a little
like
taste.
the whole, their names were, I can't remember the names.
Elizabeth was the bride.
Right. let's say if they were, Ryan and Elizabeth Olsen. Please welcome to the stage for their first dance, Ryan and Elizabeth Olsen. And everybody starts. You do that.
Get ready to rumble.
Pretty much.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, a professional MC, it is not for the faint of heart. It's a challenging job. You have to command the stage, be charismatic, keep the whole thing moving forward, but still stay out of the way, be respectful, and so on.
And it's not about you, like what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's about herding those cats and getting them to cut the cake and get to where they need to get. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
I learned that day that you don't tell people you go to go somewhere. You invite them to go somewhere.
So there's a backstory to this again, all about psychology.
Sure.
Most of our events, we have a seating chart, and it's a seated dinner, meaning you're waited on, your drinks are brought to you. But then we have some other couples, like the one that Jim helped us on. It was over 500 people. So we definitely wanted to do a seating chart to create order. And a little bit of a bad rumor reframing here is people are like, I don't want a stuffy seated dinner.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know who started that rumor like back in the 70s, because it actually creates a comfort level when people know they have a place to go to. And even if they don't know the people at the table, that's okay, because they might just want a place to put their purse down. So when they get up, and it's kind of like home base.
Yeah.
And so when we do a stations or a buffet, which again, people think, oh, well, my guests will get more options, which again, most people just give them something.
Well, and a lot of those seated dinners ahead of time, you get to pick steak, chicken, or fish, right?
You know what you're getting.
Which is great. And then you ask about allergies and all that kind of stuff. That's great. And it becomes enjoyable. Personally, I love going to weddings and parties. We went to one last night. It was great. But the first thing that I'm thinking, of course, I'm Italian. I'm thinking I'm like, I hope the food is good.
It was good.
I hope it's open bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I had my drum tech drive me so I can have some cocktails. It was great. We had a good time.
Little Johnny Ho.
Oh, we love Johnny Ho.
But you've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
And so think if you just said in the microphone, hey, everybody, the buffet's open. Could you imagine like the lines? So, we strategically had 4 stations that all had the same thing.
Right.
It's like servers in a restaurant, and I have 4 team members. It's like you have section 1, you have section 2, you have section 3, section 4, and then you invite them, and we always serve a first course to the table. So like a chicken and waffle or a salad with bread, so that people have something to munch on before they're invited to go to the stations. Some people say release, and I'm like, we are not in kindergarten sitting crisscross applesauce. Yeah. The planner will come and release your table. And I'm like,
horrible.
People don't respond well to that.
That's industry talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, in Sebastian Maniscalco's comedy special, he's like, hey, I'm Italian. Within 60 seconds of sitting down, I need some bread, something to munch on.
Yeah.
That goes a long
true.
way, especially if you've been waiting outside to get in. Feed me. Feed me, Seymour.
So now on that day, you have, I remember driving up and I'm looking at the weather and I'm going, this thing's coming right for us. It was a nasty storm.
Yeah.
And, I get there and I'm trying to figure out, okay, where are my bearings? Where is my little area? I got to set stuff up. I had to set up 2 separate PA systems. Which was, and I got there enough in time to get it all done.
Yeah.
But my part of it got up to go time by the time all things were said and done. And it was just, it got stressful. What goes through your mind on a day like that?
I don't even think. For that actual date, and honestly, I kind of took it a little personal from God, not to get all... I'm not like that girl.
Yeah.
But I have been saying for years, I am deathly allergic to outdoors. I'm allergic to grass. If a bug bites me, I'm sick for 3 days. Yeah, it's weird.
Do you have allergies?
Really bad.
Allergies? Yes? Okay.
Yeah. So I have been saying for years, I'm going to stop doing outdoor weddings, that I will design them and my team will execute. But in that and that was the plan for that wedding, for me to stay inside. But for that circumstance, I'm so thankful that I was there. Not that my team couldn't handle it. We've been through some crazy stuff before, and we've been flooded out and stuff like that. But with that many people, I'm glad that I was there to kind of be in charge, because I do well under pressure, and not everyone does. Yeah. And so, I had the florist looking at me. This is before you got there. The weatherman in the local town called the mom and said, there's a rain cell coming and it's going to be over by 6:30. And if it were my daughter's wedding, I would tarp the chairs. I would lay everything down on the ground, like all the flowers and all the shelves that we had with salads and all the liquor bottles. And so she comes out and she's like, are you cool if we move the wedding back an hour and a half? I'm like, sure. Would you like to post that on Facebook to all of your guests? I mean, I don't even know who
to get that message out.
Yeah, but somebody else did it. I was like getting my vendors. We all have radios. And I'm like, we knew it was coming. So the night before we were hit with a tornado, because we had been up there, it was a 4-day load in. So I was just, you're like in this not panic mode, but a very like I
survival.
need to be 100%.
Yeah.
You know, so I had the florist looking at me, which was their friend, which was not good. What should I do? I'm like, well, if it were me and those were my vases that weighed that much and cost that much, I would put them under the table and lay them down. And then the caterer's like, well, what should we do? I'm like, take all your salads down and let's lay all, so I'm just going into survival mode. And I'm like, why the F am I the only person that knows what to do here?
Well, that's why you're the expert and that's why you make the big bucks.
And then I have like 200 servers looking at me saying like, we're not all going to fit in the garage or the storm basement. And they're like, should we go under the tent? I'm like, no. To me, that's common sense. You can get electrocuted with the lightning. So I'm like, they had a huge barn.
Which explains why I was in the tent during the thunderstorm.
Shut up.
I'm an idiot.
They all were in the barn.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just, you're not even thinking. It's like, I'm just looking around and I'm like, what do we have to do to get this thing to pass? But I took it personal. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. Like, I keep saying, I know from
literally, I hear you.
My health, like I know that I need to stop. And so that we always have a rap meeting, like 3:20 a.m. And my girls are like, shut up. I'm just so tired. Like cheer mode. And they're like, you said you would never do that. I'm like, I know. And they're like, can we video you saying that? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, this was the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It was bad. We got through it.
Was the client happy at the end?
Ecstatic.
Of course.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like one of those moments where we can't even believe we made it through.
Yeah.
I know you've had those moments, so.
But you know why you're awesome at what you do? Because of this.
Oh, this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy. Yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. Oh, this on me so yummy. Oh, this sauce so yummy.
So, of course, if you can watch the video of this podcast, you see Rich getting into the groove.
Oh, but we forgot to count it off. So here we go. Let's count it off.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
Is that your theme for the year?
It is. Every year we do a theme.
That's great.
And my core team, we love to dance.
Yeah.
And we love doing the workout videos to Fitness Marshall. And he has really funny commentary. So like, this is not the words to the song, but it sounds like it's saying like, get sauce, like condiment, and rub your tummy. Like, that's not what it says.
Not saying that?
We make up our own words because we don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's all about like leveling up, upping your game, upping your guest experience, leveling up in your business. How are you going to focus? How are you going to follow through? Yeah,
because
we
you do
change
so
it every
many
year.
things. You do so many things. It's like I look at your website and all your offerings, and it's like, oh, okay, this resonates with me. Not only are you the celebrity event planner, but you've got the coaching and consulting business. You do some motivational speaking. You're an expert on planning and designing. You have in-person workshops, online courses. You're an expert in hacking time management, using existing apps that are out there to save you time, save you money, be more efficient. Talk about some of this.
Yeah, so when I first got into healthcare, EMR, which is electronic medical records, which if you've ever been to the doctor in the last 5 years, you can probably, most charts are online
It's
now.
all on iPad now. Yeah.
Yep. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But if it's down, it's not such a good thing, but it doesn't happen very often. But I came from the world of handwrite charting.
Sure.
And so the year that I moved back to Nashville and started working at the time Baptist Hospital, we employed over 350 doctors, and somebody had to go out into the field and teach these people how to use a computer
Right.
and an iPad And I learned very quickly how powerful technology could be.
Sure.
And people hated me
Yeah.
the first few days, but I had to sell the outcome psychologically. I'm like, but listen, you're going to get this, and you don't have to sit on the phone anymore, like with your neck like this, because this was before headsets and Bluetooth existed.
So there's a learning curve, but you will love your life more when you get through the other side.
100%.
Sure.
And so I was on the very young version of like technology when like jump drives were coming out and like hard drives didn't exist. Like we were still using CD-ROMs. And then I had my own personal experiences in college where my computer crashed, my big tower. I got a virus, almost didn't graduate on time. So when all this technology stuff started to come out, plus I was seeing it in my everyday job, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. So when I started to like, I did not go to school to do this, but like I started to plan weddings, do events for fun. Yeah. I only knew that it was smart to just do it paperless, so come up with a process to be paperless. And so then every 6 months, things would progress, technology would progress. The iPhone came out. But I loved my Droid. Oh, I loved my BlackBerry before that.
I loved my BlackBerry.
But I am such a tech geek for seeing how it can change someone's life personally and professionally. It was really neat because like in the doctor's offices, I would teach them and they're like, Ange, we hated you when you came in, but now you're like the EMR cheerleader. Literally like that. Yeah. That's what they called me. And then they would take it home like to their family, and when your contacts could sync and then your notes could sync and then you could share calendars. And I've just seen it come such a long way. And then personally in business in 2010, our town flooded. And I had already tried to get like our vendors on Dropbox and Google Drive, and they're all handwriting stuff, and it kind of drives me crazy.
It's amazing with Google Drive and Dropbox and your file app, you can run your entire business in the palm of your hand.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. The only thing is you need strong Wi-Fi to draw from the Google Drive and the Dropbox.
Well, yes and no. You can't. So if you plan ahead, and how do I know this? I learned the hard way. I was in the middle of a field in BFE with a client, and I go to pull it up and there's no signal. And so then I Google it. How can I access my files on no Wi-Fi? Y'all, I Google everything and then I watch a video and figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
So there's actually, each time you start a new document, and I don't know why they don't let us do it by folder, but each time you do a new document, if you potty train yourself, we have a very specific way we name things, but you can also click a little button, you can only do it from your phone, and tell it to give you access offline. So when I go get on an airplane for like 20 hours to another country and I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi is going to work because it's failed me a few times, I plan ahead and I'm like, what clients do I need to work on?
You click the file and make available offline.
Is that what that's for?
Yes. Yes. And then when you get back onto Wi-Fi, everything syncs up.
Wow.
So you can
How does that work? You make it available.
I guess it downloads to the device.
I guess it's almost like Netflix when you download, and I didn't know that was eating up memory, but like it's a whole different discussion. I'll take like a whole season of a show because I know I'm flying to LA, you know what I mean? And then but then it gives you the option to delete that episode and go to the next episode, so it's taking up less memory. And then you realize, oh my God, I can't take a picture anymore because all my memory is gone. So you got to go and you got to clean house and you got to get rid of all those screenshots and all those things that are eating up memory.
And most people don't understand that.
Any of it.
And so they go into the Apple store. It actually is a pretty, you don't know what you don't know until somebody shows you.
You can take classes at the Apple store.
Okay, I teach these classes and people pay for them when they can go to the Apple store and do it for free.
Right.
What's different is because I'm a business owner and I work in it every day, I speak a little bit of a different language, so it's more relevant. Where at the Apple store, you could have a 93-year-old grandma with an iPhone and a 16-year-old and then a 30-year-old who's trying to run a business. It's not the same conversation, but it's funny because...
Big disconnect.
Completely, but still, you can at least get started by going to free classes. That's how I learned. And every time I get frustrated with something or I need something, I Google it and there's always an answer.
What are some good hacks or good takeaways for our listeners or guys like Jim and I that are running multiple businesses and we want to be more productive on the go?
Well, the very first thing is people don't utilize Siri. They say, oh, she doesn't understand me, or well, your phone, people, you've got, it's repetition. And you know what? It actually teaches you how to be a more clear person, talk a little bit
Articulate.
more clear. Yes. So you don't like this. And then it's like, hey, Siri, remind me. So about 55 times per day, I'm constantly like, remind me. And I'll always give myself a deadline. So like for me, otherwise I'll never look at it. Like I don't physically use reminders. I just talk to Siri all day long. But what people don't understand is they're like, well, I tried that, but nothing popped up on my computer. Well, that's because you didn't have your computer synced appropriately via iCloud. And so your phone and your computer has to talk. It's got to go up into the cloud and pull back down.
So I could say, Siri, please wake me up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Did it wake up when you said that?
Well, you have to say, hey, Siri, and you have to make sure she's on.
Okay.
Because some people, they don't understand the notification. Like, it's little things, one little checkbox. So if it's on and you're like, hey, Siri, you don't have to say please.
Yeah.
Hey, Siri, wake me up at 2:10 p.m.
I don't have to say, please, this is great.
No.
Did your phone wake up when you said that?
I didn't do it. I may have her
waiting
off
for all of our
because
phones
I
to
know
go.
that you know, Big Brother is listening at everything, and the reason why I know is I'll be talking to a friend and be like, I want to get another denim jacket this year. Next thing I know, I pull up my Instagram screen, and there it is.
Yeah.
And do I buy it? Yes.
You know, the interesting thing about technology, it was revealed to me recently. You ever notice how inexpensive televisions have become?
My girlfriend said, I just got this thing with a built-in Roku for like $150. I was like, what?
You know why?
Why?
They're listening to you. That was the wrong button.
Wait a minute. No, that
was wrong.
No, that's a great button.
There we go. That's the one we need.
No, I think it's definite. Oh, yeah.
That's
but
the
I
one.
also don't like it.
I don't like it either, but that's the reality.
Well, it is. And so, but the most advanced technology right now that's listening is Alexa. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's a catch-22. It's like they want us to be more productive. They want to make technology so much more easy, but it's all in how you look at it and how you reframe. So, you know, when we're having team meetings, I'm like, Alexa, play this, play that, turn it off, turn it on. If we're going to talk about some highly confidential things, such as Jason and Brittany's wedding, when we were doing that, I unplugged everything.
Right.
Everything. We would cover up our camera. I would turn my volumes down. I would turn my sound off because there is technology out there listening. But for younger kids coming up, I'm like, don't do anything that you wouldn't do if you didn't want it on the front page of Snapchat or Facebook. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And that's the reality.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship, but it's just a good reminder. And also, like, geofencing has become really big. Like, it's something that we've gotten into with some of our like retail clients for like bridal dress shops and bridal shows, and it's so scary and manipulative. But for those of us who know how to utilize it on the marketing side, it's like really scary.
Right. So how are you using geofencing?
Well, so I don't personally use it, but I set up a strategy for example, a lot of retailers that we work with, like a member that I just left from the entrepreneur organization. She has 3 different brands that serves 40 plus women, and then women or girls, I would say 14 to 21. And then she has a jewelry line.
Right.
And so I'm like, who are your top 3 competitors? And, you know, every artist doesn't think they have a competitor because it's one of a kind, which people are like, who's your competition? I'm like, I don't have any competition. Nobody does what I do. Like, they really don't.
Right.
But it's still
great.
good to be aware, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, for example, and I'm pulling this out of my butt. Let's say the earrings you're wearing are $35. So if you look to see who around you within the downtown Franklin zip code, how many people would pay $35 per earrings? Not that many people. I mean, maybe not. But if there's other jewelry stores around there, you can geofence the zip code, the store, so that if you walk in there and you have your location services turned on and you walk out, you might see an ad for another jewelry store. So like we do it with the wedding industry. Wow. So if you go into a bridal shop and you're going to drop 10 grand on a dress, like you're at Kleinfeld's in New York, and the location services and the marketing data knows that you're going to be spending that much. So there's top designers that can geofence Kleinfeld's and start sending you ads.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yep. I mean, every time I mention something, the ad pops up on Facebook or Instagram. Every time without failure. So, I don't know. I guess everybody mind your P's and Q's. Don't do anything ever in life that you want somebody to know about.
So sooner or later, you're going to see ads for Redmond cigars.
He wants me to start a cigar line. It's crazy.
Redmond.
It's probably very difficult.
One major productivity takeaway is that whenever you download a new app, and 99.9% of the time it's going to ask you, do you want to just log in with Facebook or do you want to log in with Google?
Oh, yeah. Do it or not do it.
Do not do
That's what I do every time.
Yeah, it's easier.
Because it's easy and it's quick. But let me tell you what's happening.
They're getting your data.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And
Zuckerberg's getting my data?
Everything.
That's like when you go to the gas station, they ask you credit or debit. I mean, do you know which one to go with?
Debit is easier to rip off.
100%.
Yeah, you always do credit.
Always.
Then why offer it as an option for debit? You know?
I mean, some people don't have credit cards. Their credit's not good enough.
I don't always want to put it on the credit card because then if I don't, for some reason I forget, and then it's like, oh my God, I really got up high this month. You know what I mean? Whereas debit is like, hey, if I don't have it, I can't get it.
So they come through with the Facebook, sign in with Google, Twitter, anything like that?
Yes, yeah. And if you have the same password and everything is linked and your identity gets stolen.
Oh, no.
And how do I know this? Because it's happened to me. It's a nightmare. And it costs thousands of dollars to like get it back and like get your credit back. And so it's just yes, it's easy. It's so much more easy to and people are like, well, how do I remember all my passwords?
Password keeper.
Well, and make sure it's a third-party app because Apple has keychain. Yeah. But if you have to reset your computer, it completely resets your keychain.
Right.
So, and that happened.
What's a great password protector?
We use an app called 1Password.
Mm-hmm. I use Keeper.
Yeah, there's Keeper, there's LastPass.
Okay.
But look at all this. Look at all the entries of passwords that I have. Is that freaking nuts?
Oh my God.
I think I have like 687.
But is that safe?
Really?
Is that safe too?
It's encrypted.
And the funny thing is,
everything's encrypted.
So there was
Keeper,
one point.
And then what's another one?
1Password.
There was one point where I had to, I think I got a new phone. So you had to log back into everything. I forgot the password to my password keeper.
Don't do that.
That's bad. Where do you keep the password for password keeper?
So I had to call them up and tell them who I was, and I had to do all sorts of. It only took me about half an hour.
Okay, well, I learned something there. Okay, so no longer logging in under Facebook. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to use credit at the gas station. And then what was the other thing with the calendars, syncing calendars?
Yes. So oftentimes when I'm like, oh my God, I love Apple. I'm like the little Apple cult leader.
Do you know what you're doing at all on a Microsoft computer, or is it some foreign?
No.
I mean, I'm like lost too.
Yeah, like if I'm working with a physician or a physician practice, I can make my way around it for the EMR purposes. But no, I mean, you kind of forget that.
Yeah.
It's like riding training wheels and getting them taken off and taking your helmet and pads off.
You're all the way Apple products.
Oh, God. I mean, once you understand how to use it all, the productivity is just through the roof. You can't explain it until you actually experience it. But oftentimes when people hear me, they're like, well, I hate this. And I was like, well, what do you hate? They're like, I can't find my stuff. The number one thing, they can't find their stuff because people have multiple email addresses, as you should on your phone. We have a client, a vendor, a junk, a trade show. We have different emails mapped to different things. And then we have one just for social media. So when people are purchasing a list and it goes to that, I know that I'm being spammed through social media. So we have a strategy behind that. But oftentimes what people don't understand is every time you download a new email to your phone, you are also creating contacts, a calendar, and notes. And you've got to go into the settings just one time in the beginning, and turn all that other stuff off to make sure that your stuff is mapped to one hub, which my hub is iCloud.
Right.
Google, Gmail, Google Drive, that's okay too. I do trust Google and I do trust iCloud, but that's why Apple came out. Like, they were the first to really understand and sell the cloud, sync your stuff into the cloud.
Yeah.
And so why not take advantage of that? But again, people don't know what they don't know. So I'll go in and I'll go to turn off all their other contacts and their notes. And it's like, they don't even realize that they have been, when they're like saying different things or putting in different contacts, they've got some in Google Gmail, some in Yahoo, some in Juno, some in iCloud. And you can actually go into your settings and map where you want it to go to.
Yeah.
So pick one.
Now, is this a productivity workshop that you do in person and online?
So we sell the videos online.
Oh, you sell the videos.
But through experience, what I can say, it's a very different experience, and the outcome when you're in person or on Zoom with me, because what most people do, they'll get the videos, and then we always follow up with people to see how it's changed their life 30, 60, 90 days in their business. I've never had one person buy the videos and make it through the whole thing because they're like, well, I got frustrated, I couldn't figure this out, and so they just walk away because they get pissed. Where when you're with me or with me on Zoom, I'm just like, oh, because you can't teach everything on a video, you know? So I'm like, oh, just go here, 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 boom. And you never have to do it again. So the outcome is very different. And I feel like people leave less frustrated, and we actually get through the whole workshop.
I love this. I mean, I'm looking at the Profit Vault offering right now, and you got all these modules, psychology and selling, the marketing process and productivity, all these bonus modules. I mean, there's a nice price attached to that. You get all of that. Is this housed on that learning system Kajabi, or is it Lightspeed virtual training? No.
So when I first started doing,
mine's on Kajabi.
So I love Kajabi.
Yeah.
When I first started building all of this, I just built it on WordPress, which don't do that, people. But this was before Teachable and Skillshare and Kajabi and all of those different platforms where you can house things. This was a while ago, and then it became literally a billion, probably $1 trillion industry where people were selling their information. So we've recently just moved over a bunch of our stuff to Kajabi and moved it out of WordPress because we were using Infusionsoft and iMember 360 and Lead Pages and ClickFunnels. And with Kajabi, you just have it all there in one system. It's great.
I was going to tell you, I will trade my drumminginthe modern world.com course valued at $299 for your Profit Vault course valued at $9,999. I think I would benefit more from the Profit Vault than you would benefit from Drumming in the Modern World.
Well, so the Profit Vault is like the big kahuna. I mean, it's literally got
the big enchilada.
Yeah.
Like the whole enchilada,
yeah.
Like my whole process that's been created over 18 years.
I love it.
And we keep it up to date too. So, you know, obviously it's videos and recording my screen and sharing templates so that people don't have to learn how to do all of these things. Because in our industry, specifically in weddings, there are some okay hospitality programs out there for colleges, but most of the teachers, professors, they've actually never planned anything.
Right.
So I'm like, how are
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
So common in academia.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have my own little certification thing for mainly women, girls who think they want to be a wedding planner. But really what it comes down to is yes, organization, yes, design and being creative, but you really have to know how to get along with people.
Right.
And if you want to make money and be profitable, some business background is really good too. So if you can't be good with people and if you can't do numbers and you don't know how to outsource it, just give up.
Is a good starting point the E-Myth? for most people.
It's a good book. Yeah, it's a good book.
I like how you just basically said, what gives you the credibility and the expertise is your success in your industry. So you're basically saying like, look, I could take you through Wedding Planning 101, the university, but this is just a way for people to become better in their business, no matter what their business is. So some of the things you're profiting are attracting the right clients and how to not have to haggle for the low paying jobs and how to grow your business to 6 figures, closing techniques, and to succeed with a business built around your hey, I play the drums because it's my calling. I'm passionate about it. I've been doing it for a long time. This is the house that drums built, and so I found the commonalities between cultivating success in my business and other people's business, and that's Crash. And we talked about that. So, and Michael Elsner, we had another guest, great film, TV composer. And he's had 2,200 songs placed in TV and films. And he created a course on how to get your songs placed in TV and film. And he sells his course on Kajabi.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's a big platform.
Yeah, it's great.
What I can appreciate you, and I think I've shared this with you, is the fact that you do have coaching programs based on an actual business you've built.
Yes.
100%.
Okay. How many coaches are out there
that are full of, what?
Crap. That just...
They know how to, but never have
they're
done.
coaching based on the business of their coaching business they're currently building.
Yeah, and I don't. When people are, we all speak at conferences.
Yeah.
And people will stand up there, and I'm like,
let me ask you this before you go forward. The true test of an actual coach will do what at a live event? Someone who knows who's the full test and value of their worth. They'll take questions from the audience.
yeah, they'll tell you anything.
Yeah.
Of course.
The ones that'll get up there and not take questions, yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
Get
Who
right.
doesn't take questions?
Oh, a
The
lot
ones
of
who
people
don't, the ones who can't stand on what they're talking about because they have no experience.
I don't know. Somebody do.
Am I good? Thank you.
Lint brush, please.
Do I have a lint?
No, I don't know. It's fine.
I'm not as stylish as you two.
You don't have hair. It's not dandruff.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's coming out of the beard, and I try to do the beard balm.
I love it.
But thanks for pointing that out.
No, I mean, no. You're an expert, and you're sharing that like time tested actual knowledge.
Yeah. So at a live event, sorry to interrupt you. We were talking about when you were up with other coaches and your other speaking.
Oh yeah.
events.
So and I mean this happens a lot in my industry because people might come from money and their parents give them 20 grand to put up a cute website, buy a bunch of stock photos, do a photo shoot, which by the way, people photo shoots and what you see in photo shoots and then actual events and recreating it for 1,000 people is 2 different things.
Yeah. Stock photos.
So, and I never judge people by their age or the way they look.
Right.
Because, I mean, even when I was 30 and dads were like, did you start when you were in your mother's womb? And I'm like, but I have to earn their respect. Okay. Like I get it. And then they're apologizing and I'm like, it's okay. I don't take it personal. Like I get it all the time.
But in your mind, you're going, shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, I know what I can produce with the right tools and the right people and the right team. But if I raise my hand and someone is basically doing a PowerPoint that's just following the PowerPoint, but there's no experience sharing, which is everything that we do.
Right.
And so I'll say, how many of events have you planned, executed, designed?
Right.
8, 9? Mm-hmm. So what makes you an expert?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still shitting your diapers.
You need more time in the trenches for sure before you start teaching.
That's what teaches you.
Yeah.
Is you've got to get your everything's got to get dirty and you've got to fall on your face multiple times and you need clients screaming at you and cussing you out and tell you how bad you are.
Right.
Failure is good.
It is. It's always an opportunity for growth.
Sure. Now, another thing that you are kind of an expert at is time management, hacking and tracking where you've been, where you're going, what you're doing, your hours of your day. So what advice can you give to people there?
Well, we all have entrepreneur-itis where we like to do a lot of different things.
Sure.
And so the older I've gotten, the more I realize, and it's like when I was young, I don't know if y'all's parents did this, but it's like, put your GD phone down for dinner and be present. And I was just like, I'm busy. I'm just, But I really try now to be present. Like in the same years ago, like my dad got sick, my sister got sick, and it's just, you start to reevaluate how you want to spend your time.
Sure.
And we talked about this on my podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's lots of jobs. There's plenty of business out there, but is it the right kind of business? And are you actually feeling passionate and that you're feeling like you're making a difference in what you're doing? And so there's an organization that I'm in with a bunch of other entrepreneurs. So we have this mindset. And the only way that I could do it, just because I'm a visual person, I can't read and learn. I watch videos. I do a lot of Audible. So I don't retain things that way. So I had to see it. And so I had a business coach that said, Ange, you're going to stroke out before you're 40. Like I mean, you're answering your phone and your text messages, and that's great to feel needed. Don't you love that? And I'm like, actually, no, I can't stand it. I don't know why people are texting me at 2 a.m. It is so rude.
Right.
He's like, it's because you're telling them they can. So he came and observed me in a meeting, and I'm like, anything you need, 365 a day, 24 hours, whatever you need. But I don't really mean that. I don't. But if you tell people that, like, if you stop and think about it. So I started to become very intentional with what I'm saying. Like, I'll get that to you. When I get it to you.
Well, I love
not
that.
that tonight.
I love the fact that you have an assistant. It's like, Mrs. Proffitt will be arriving in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I get an email, and then scheduling the podcast and the follow up and answer these questions and send me it's nice.
She's world class, man.
Well, it's
Incredible.
not even that. It's just when I tracked my time and I put everything in a different color, you can look at your week and see how unbalanced you are as a workaholic when you love what you do. And so for me, it was just very unhealthy to see all red or all green and
Colors.
So click week.
She's going to start.
I need to fix your calendar.
Yeah, she's going to dissect
Please.
you right now.
It's a mess.
Okay, hold on. Let me show you this.
This is like the charting episode we did. And this is going to.
We're looking at an iCal.
Hieroglyphics here.
We're looking at an iCal, and it's not the best system because I haven't gone to the Apple Store and taken a class. Much neater.
So,
oh my God.
And I can share a screenshot, but it's just like this week. Okay. So starting on Monday, we have some blue, we have some green, we have some orange.
I love that.
We have some red. So everything means something. And so you want to try to make sure that you have me time, family time, work time, work on your business, not in your business. And if you're just constantly working in it, you're never going to grow.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I did, I made a list, and it's like, what do I do in a day, which used to be more than people would do in a week.
Right.
And what do I have to do? What do I like to do? So a lot of things I was doing, because I'm a control freak, I did not need to be doing. I could teach someone else to do it if I set up the process and communicated the expectations to the right person with the right mindset.
Right.
So if you make a list of everything, again, that you have to do. So in my company, I have to do the sales. No one can sell like me because they don't have the experience shares. No one can deliver a presentation on stage like I can.
Right.
They could try and they can talk about it, but the takeaway is going to be perceived differently because I have that psychology background.
So you are delegating.
100%.
Right.
But don't you want to remove yourself from the business at some point? Kind of like what Ramsey's doing? I mean, because if it's depending on you.
Well, and that's where you want to build those online courses and dump. If your knowledge and your company is running off of what's in your head, that is a really bad idea. So what we've done over the years, which my branding manager did came from Dave Ramsey and then started his own. And I worked with him for about 3 years, and he taught me how to dump all of my processes and procedures into a Google Doc, which then we packaged up and we sell it. So by selling products that will help people, you're not going to make $1 million off of a book. It's a great lead magnet. It's a great giveaway. It's a great conversation.
It's a business card.
Yeah, exactly. So that you can share your knowledge, but you might get a speaking gig where they're paying you $50,000.
At the very minimum, you gotta have a book.
Yeah, you gotta have a book.
Yeah.
And my first book came out of because I was asked to speak, and they're like, "Oh, you have to be an author." And then Kevin, the guy from Dave, he was like, Angela, you have a video tip series. You talk so much. Like, I'm just going to give that to an editor. And like in a week, I had a book. Like, it was crazy how fast. But I'm so thankful for him because I didn't know what he was doing big picture, but he was setting me up exactly what Dave's been doing. And we have so much content that organically online, we are ranked very high because we put out content. We understand strategy. We understand keywords.
Nice.
We have 5 different audiences, which most businesses, if you're just starting out, I would recommend 1. It can get very costly from not only a marketing side, but I'll do a video and say it once, and then we can use that audio, and then it can go into a tips book. It can go on a blog. It can go on social media.
So content.
It's organic.
Yeah.
And you're doing it anyway.
And I think it's a difference between have to and get to. And I think that comes with humility and the idea of gratitude, which we bring that up all the time. I get to play the drums every day. That makes me very grateful. But if I want to expand my brand, I have to write books. I have to speak. I have to study acting. I have to do all these other things to grow these other skill sets, right? And then if we're not growing new skill sets, right, then we become the fat Elvis, right? And then we are not relevant anymore. So I think about all the things that I get to do, all the things that I have to do, balancing those things, making some time for yourself, some mindfulness things. And then if a great day for me is, can I for sure get my workout in? Can I put some weights over my head? Can I go for a run? Can I go for a nice walk? Get on the treadmill? Do something for myself, because much of the rest of the day is I'm in servitude of someone else. I'm recording someone else's songs. I'm playing with someone else on stage, running my business. So that's a successful day for me. Can I get a little time for myself and then do these other things that usually make other people happy? And then as a result of making them happy, I make myself happy.
But like when you were writing your book, and to like even to launch this podcast show, like Jim texted me and he's like, "Hey, come be on."
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like, did you block time on your calendar to actually say like, okay, on Sundays from this time to this time, like how did you do that?
We looked at the way my world works is I know that I have all my obligations from, being the drummer with the celebrity. So I have all my days associated with that. And then I look at the hours of the day that I'm free, even when I'm working for him, that I can fill. And then, everything it's not blocked by the hour. It's on a massive to-do list. And then the most important things keep getting pushed up to this has to happen today. This has to happen this week. These are the things I like to happen before the end of the year. And I just try to execute. So, just putting something like this together, you got to buy the table from overstock.com. You got to call the microphone company. You got to get the logo designed. Thank God Jim designed it. You get the coffee mugs printed up. You got the sign made. I had commissioned a theme song. Now we're in business. And then it was like, let's hyper focus this so we can get some fantastic guests in here. And by focusing in just a 6-week period, we'll have 23 episodes. So that's more episodes than we had on my other podcast in a 2-year period, because we hadn't put priority on it. We put priority on this. We know that, hey, within 6 months, we want high dollar revenue from ads. Within 2 years, we want to sell the show and have someone pick it up. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. McCarthy's having a good time with it.
I'm having fun.
Yeah.
So when you know the goal, things happen quicker, but you still had it on your calendar.
That's on the calendar, but not like at 8 a.m. this day, I'm going to commission the theme song, you know?
Yeah. But it's just, for me, like some of our projects seem like overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I have to break it down into chunks. And what's really cool is when you are writing a book and it takes you a year to do it, because it's just like little times here and there. And then someone asks you, and you know how much it is to produce it, not only like what you're paying for and outsourcing, but your time. Mm-hmm. Your time. Young people are like, time is money. I'm like, time is effing precious. Yeah. It's priceless, and you can never get it back.
Right.
How much money would I pay to have my dad back again? There's no amount of value that you can put on that. So, but it's cool when someone's like, hey, can you come to Europe and speak for free? Oh, and bring your book. You'll have access to 2,000 people watching you from stage.
You'll get exposure.
Yeah. We're kind of past exposure.
So I go into my search field because in my heart, I want to help everybody. I want to say yes to everything. This is why I have to have a bulldog. And so I just put the name of the book because I'm very consistent. That's the key to your calendar, is making sure you're consistent. And I would put the book name and it pops up and populates at the bottom and reminds me that I spent 432 hours on that book last year.
Wow.
And if, let's just say you charge $300 an hour in consulting, that puts a price tag on your time in my head.
Right.
Wow.
And so I'm like, I know I haven't made my money back yet from producing that book.
Oh no, I'm out the money.
I would have to have, 5 speaking gigs that are X amount, 30, 40, 50,000. So hell no, I'm not doing your event for free.
$129,600.
And that's just making them understand that. And the part of the value proposition. Like, I understand that, you'd love me to come over, but here's why I can't.
And when I'm gone, it costs me X amount of dollars to run my business. I know down to the day and minute it cost us to run my company.
Yeah.
All the softwares we use. I mean, we invest a lot.
Sure. And you're investing in you.
100%.
Now people are like, what did you pay for your website? I'm like, I have to, because I'll have it for a decade. Right? So you have to have that. And then the book, it costs money. But you have to have these things. You have to have these properties. It's the price of doing business.
But I mean, a lot of people, especially in the voiceover world, will say, well, know your worth. And they preach that over and over and over again.
Sure.
And I say, yeah, that's understandable. But you got to sell your worth too. You got to know how to sell it. And how do you go about doing that? How do you overcome that objection? You get somebody to go, I want you to come speak for free. No.
What does Courtney charge for a 1-hour massage?
$90.
Okay. So, and how long did she have to go to school to study massage? 6 months or 1 year?
Not about a year.
So 1 year. Okay. So a masseuse goes to school for 1 year. I've never paid a masseuse ever less than $1 a minute. So that's $60 plus a tip, usually $80. So if I'm going to get a massage from your wife, that's $90 plus a $20 tip is $110, right? And then so I have these people that want to charge money for, say, like a drum lesson, and they're charging $30 an hour. I'm like, look, I got a master's degree, been doing tens of thousands of hours. I never charge less than $60 an hour. That's $1 a minute on your time, right? For your skill set. So now, studying with like acting coaches, or like I'm taking hosting lessons with this girl out in Los Angeles. So it's $250 for 1 hour. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to raise my drum lesson price, right? I'm going to do it.
Well, you have the equity.
Well, it's just... people are so afraid to raise their prices that they're like not going to get the work.
The biggest person you got to convince is yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm like the poster child of, I had a mentor that said, because 1 year, years ago, I did like 253 weddings, and I thought I was going to
300 weddings?
253.
Oh, 253. Okay.
That's still a lot of weddings.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
in 1 year.
And then I sat down with my accountant and my business manager, and you got to have people in your life that care and who don't think like you.
But your business manager's like,
is he twisting his railroad
he makes
mustache?
5%, right?
But the worst thing is 30 plus weddings. I not only did not make any money, I paid that client to do.
You lost money on them.
Yes.
Well, how's that?
Because I didn't track my time and I didn't pay for labor and overhead appropriately because I didn't know any better.
That's one of those failures you're talking about that a business owner has to go through.
It was like a knife in my gut, and I'm like, I will never. And that's when I truly became psychotic about, if it's not on the calendar, it's not real, it's not happening.
Right.
And so when a sweet bride calls and they're like, I only have this, but you did so and so, but I only have this. Well, I know that my hard cost to have my team do 50 hours today is $6,000. I don't make a penny.
Right.
That's overhead.
Okay.
But it's like my business manager, my kind of helped me understand and break it all down.
What's the average number of hours that go into a normal wedding, medium-sized wedding?
Well, like today, in our we only serve about 3% of the market because we're in a luxury space, and our pre-qualifications is we control the whole weekend. So we don't just do a one-off. We do the welcome party, the rehearsal dinner, the wedding, the reception, the dinner, the dancing, the brunch, and then do all the flights, do all the transportation, do the welcome bags. We control the whole experience.
Gotcha.
And it's a much different experience. Now, I used to just piecemeal when people are like, oh, I've already gotten that. But the outcome is not the same. So we have it down to a science now, because we're probably on year 6 or 7 of everybody tracking their time. And so if it's a pretty simple wedding, the more people you have, the more there is to do, like with seating charts and stuff. So in most of our, it's like a production. It's like 300 plus people. Not everything. We'll do weddings for 50 people, but they have to be reasonable, right?
They have to be rich.
Well, they have to value the experience. And so
So let's do the math here.
At least 100 hours.
$300 an hour times 100 hours. Okay, you want Angela Proffitt, her base price is $30,000.
Yes.
Okay. I like that. So your business manager is like,
But would you
times 0.505. Okay, he's doing good on, and then he's making $1,500 times 250 events a year. Okay, he's making a school teacher salary in like a 5A school just for you.
Well, and when people say what, because our business model is like none other.
Yeah.
I say, would you work full time for someone for a whole year for $30,000 a year after paying overhead, running all around town, paying taxes, running a business? No. And again, that's why we had to put boundaries in place to track our time. We very much educate people on the process, because it is paperless. It is in the cloud. Most of our clients are all over the world, but they still have access to their stuff, but they know we've got it. And so the planning and the logistics is one of the services. And then we also do the design, which is different from planning.
Wow.
So,
now, what is some of the craziest memories you have of, yes, we want a Persian horse and a giant Greek statue spitting water, like anything that comes to mind that you could share? Like you're like, really? It even surprised you.
well, before I had an office, I mean, this was like really, really early on. I met a couple at Panera, and first off, I just thought they were on drugs. I mean, I was raised by an undercover drug dealer, so we were in court, a lot. So like, I knew when people were like snorting coke. I mean, I just know.
Your dad was a police officer?
the earmarks.
Yeah, my
He was
dad,
a detective?
He was, he worked
He was a
for
narc.
CSX.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And then my brother worked for the DA for 10 years.
Wow.
And then has his PI company. So there's a lot of like things that I just know from growing up around that. A lot of people wouldn't know that. And so I could tell that they're just very fidgety in the way that they were. And I thought I was being punked, y'all. So the guy's like, yeah, my dad owns this island and these cliffs. And so everyone's going to be nude, but they're going to have, this was when body paint first came out.
Gotcha.
And so they're like, kind of like the Tin Man. So instead of guys wearing like suits, they'll all have different color body paint. And so were the girls, and they wanted to come in on a helicopter and, just some of this stuff. And I'm like,
wow,
looking around like, but it wasn't a good fit for me. I mean, they could tell that I'm kind of like a preppy, I'm like, we don't match.
Typically do weddings where the people wear clothes. So.
But did you?
No, they did not hire me, and I did not follow up.
Okay. Wow.
Do you have like a rival that you would refer them to and then set up a punk situation so you could film it? That would be hilarious.
Jim with the hard questions.
Yeah. Let me refer you to somebody and get a film crew on this so I can catch their reaction.
It's hard to do referrals these days. Even like I've worked with some pretty great, even people that I've coached, and they've done a great job, but then they get burned out, and then they just get to be nasty, and then somebody comes back, and then they'll tag me online and be like, well, Angela Proffitt said blah, 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 blah. So I'm very careful at who I refer and who I like put my neck out there for.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, you're massively successful. There's so much abundance in your life. Do you feel like you have time to enjoy all the success? What do you do for fun?
Well, I love to travel.
Yeah.
And I have been able to, and 100% of the time, I'm usually going to destinations because of work, places I've never even heard of. But what's neat is like I can, if I know ahead of time, block a week before or block a week after and take my mom or take my brother. Or take one of my sister's kids that can like help me along the way.
Yeah.
So when I know ahead of time, I can definitely block that time out to enjoy that time and be present, fully present.
Yeah.
And know that somebody in my company is going to be able to fix it. And
so when you're enjoying that time with your family members, can you unplug? Like
I can now.
Yeah.
It's only been probably the first 12 years I was in business. I was such a workaholic. I didn't know what I didn't know. I wasn't self-aware of what I was doing to myself and the people around me by not being present. And so it took a lot of mentors and a lot of coaching and a lot of conferences and a lot of business type deals where I surrounded myself with the right people to make me aware.
Yeah.
And, again, as you get older and you start losing people in your life and things start to happen, or like the worst thing is like when you talk about taking your parents somewhere and then one of them passes and it's like, oh my gosh. Like a couple months ago, I took my mom for 2 weeks. I was speaking in Italy and jokingly, she's like, well, I want to go because she would babysit my dogs. And I'm like, well, do you really want to go? Like, that means getting a passport. And my mom's never been anywhere.
Wow.
Rarely flies. Like, I mean, my family's like country sheltered, but I'm like the wild child. And so, they see all these pictures and it looks like a fun life, but if you don't have people to share it with, it's really not that fun.
Right. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, it's lonely at the top kind of thing. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, like Thursday I'll be in Raleigh and my parents are going to come. And they always come to 1 or 2 shows a year. And I'm the good son. I always come home for, try Thanksgiving and Christmas and maybe like St. Patty's Day or Easter or something like that. They're the best. And, I had the opportunity to do some other things that day. I'm like, I'm doing nothing that day but spending the entire day with mom and dad. We're going to go into Raleigh. We're going to go to a nice craft brew place or go shopping, a nice coffee house, go out to lunch, soak up the sun. Maybe they'll see sound check. They'll say hi to everybody, hang out, nothing else. And I'm so happy because I feel like my parents are so vibrant. I feel like they're going to live forever, but they're 72 and 74, man.
Yeah, but you have a pretty good grip on enjoying and smelling. You've been saying about smelling the roses for years.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm good at it. So, I mean, it's just, I have to. I've got a wife and kids and health insurance. And
you did good. What did you learn today, Jim? Let's play that game.
What did I learn?
Yeah.
Looking back on it,
Jim creates the show notes for us.
Failure is good, and that's something that I've been kind of beating the drum on that lately too. Talking about, a lot of people are afraid of failure, and that's the kind of stuff that imprints your DNA with, okay, I don't want that to happen again, And there's so many people that I've talked to that said, well, if I can only teach this person what I learned from my failure, this way they wouldn't make the same mistake. Well, dude, they gotta make the mistake. They gotta know what that feels like.
Failing up.
Oh, failing up. It's just, don't be afraid of it. You gotta, it's good.
Failing up.
Yeah.
Level up, fail up. You know what I learned today? I learned that there's so many things that I don't understand about my Apple products.
I'm about to fix your calendar.
I am gonna maximize my calendars.
Yeah, the other thing is that, then this might be a good idea for you, is showing somebody how they can afford and implement an assistant, which I've been saying for years, you need somebody.
We have a class called Train Your Right Hand.
I like, nice. I love this.
It's not what you think it is, Rich.
A lot of people do. Ouch.
We need a little drum roll. I was raised by a bunch of men.
I tell you what.
Your right hand's probably very well trained.
A lot of people have some virtual assistants that they'll, go to India, they'll go
listen.
to,
But I just did a whole video on this.
Virtual assistants?
Virtual assistants. So a lot of people in EO utilize it and they think that it's going to fix all their to-do problems. But if you don't give them the tools and the process and your expectations, they will fail.
Yeah. Right.
So that's why I started
you end up
that
making
workshop.
more work for yourself.
Yes. Yep. And they can't read your mind.
Yeah. And well, they're in another country and there's a time difference.
Virtual assistants are amazing, but you have to be the leader and you have to communicate. Nothing's perfect.
There's actually an interesting thing that I've been toying with the idea.
Confirmed.
It says fix Rich's calendar.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah.
So,
okay.
One of the things I've been toying with from a video editing standpoint, as I bring on more and more, projects and I get more and more, more busy, I don't want to spend all this time editing this stuff. And now there's services out there for some of them like $295 a month, $500, $600 a month. They'll edit your videos for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've never enjoyed the editing part of things.
Well, it's kind of like when I was playing drums in a cover band and somebody mentioned to me, well, you can pay someone $25 to set your drums up.
Totally.
But I would always, it's $25.
Changes the quality of your life.
Yeah.
But it does. There's an app called Vlog Easy and it edits for you.
You told me about that.
And it saved me roughly $35,000 2 years ago because that's about
I love that there's a total on that because you track your time. And so let's just say that you're $300 an hour. Everything you do is based on $300 an hour.
For in-person and for consulting and for services. That's why we created all that online projects and videos and selling things because it creates the residual income.
Sure.
And as Jim said, if you are the brand and you're hit by a bus, what's going to happen?
Right.
So I think a nice balance of when you're new in your business and you're learning your worth, it's a really great brain tool, visual tool for at least 24 months to track what the hell you're doing and then start to figure out how can I put a price on my time? Because really, there's people that charge $10,000 an hour, like those high-level coaches, big high-level coaches. Some of the speakers that we have in EO, they're charging $150,000 for a 45-minute talk, and people are like, that's fine.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, it's
150?
insane. But think about it. If you're making $150,000 a month in online sales by selling info products, why the hell would you leave your family, get on a plane, fly to a place that you really don't care about going?
Right.
And you know what I mean? So it's like you've got to be able to know your worth and put a price tag on it.
Sure.
And understand what the price is, which, you tell me around that base price of $300 an hour, I think you're worth more than that. It's funny because I have a gift of seeing a business from outside people's bottles, and I tell people this all the time. I'm able to sum up what they do, identify the real problem that they solve, because a lot of business owners are inside their own bottle. They cannot see the label.
Yeah.
Right? They cannot see what they really do. I just had this conversation this morning. That comes with the valuation. I'm surprised. I think I would think you'd be like $450, $500 an hour, which I don't know.
Well, for speaking,
I'm just saying.
For speaking, when people say, how much is it? And for a 45-minute talk, well, it depends. Where I'm going, what do you want me to talk about? Right. How long am I going to be gone? And
I'm thinking your consulting services.
Well, but even for speak, if I'm like, it'll be $11,000. What? No, you're not asking me for 45 minutes of my time.
You're asking me for 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days. I'm probably going to spend about 4 or 5 hours on a custom presentation for your audience and make sure it's relevant. Because remember, I teach technology and productivity.
Sure.
The shit changes every day.
Yeah.
The stuff changes every day.
That's fine.
I customize my messaging towards the audience and their culture and everything, but I try to, if I can, get it done in 2 days, because sometimes it's a 3-day job to do that speaking engagement. You have to fly there. I have to set up the drums the night before. The morning of, I do the thing. Maybe it's not in the morning. Maybe the second day the event is in the afternoon. You can't get a flight. It's 3 days of your life.
And guys, it's not always about the money. If the real true testament to passion is if you won the lottery and money was not an object at all. It's a tool. Money is a tool to get you to where you want to go. What would you be doing? I would probably be doing the same thing I'm doing right now. It's loving what you're doing. But if you don't put a price tag when you're training, teaching, educating, people don't value it and they don't implement it, because I would give away free stuff all the time, and then I would come back in 30 days. I'm like, how has that changed your business? Oh, I haven't even opened it. But if you invest 10 grand in a effing program,
that's nice.
You better bet you're probably going to go through it in 3 days.
And plus, you're going to identify the people who believe the same way you do. They're going to see the value. You know, if they understand the value in it, they're not going to, you know, if I got to fight you, okay, when I sold Mercedes, if I got to fight you and you come in with the expectation of $200 a month, okay, how much you putting down?
You're like, you realize you're buying a Mercedes, right? Not a.
It happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Sure.
Oh yeah. What can I get for $200 a month? The value lot's right
A
over
Gremlin.
here. Yeah. Well, I can get this car for, and that's. I always tell people the car business is one of the best businesses you can attend, or best jobs you can have, because it teaches you so much about business. It really does.
Yeah.
Because
that was good for you, Jim. I didn't believe it when you were doing it, because I think Jim's lane is in some other.
To me,
things.
I looked at it as a failure because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, but it was meant to happen because I learned so much from it.
Everything in life happens for a reason, right? Yeah. I have to hold on to that. But you know, it's so interesting. Your products are being marketed to this mass audience of people that want to understand technology, implement it, be more productive. It's so funny. My lane, if you just consider the drums and being an expert at playing the drums and having a skill set of bringing a song to life and helping someone bring their music to life, there are people, it's like sometimes people will only pay what the market can bear. Drummers are broke. Right?
Because they don't know how to sell themselves.
They're starving artists. So I know drummers that have a room like this. They have beautiful drums. Everything's mic'd up. They'll play a song for someone for $50. Mm-hmm. And I took Jim out for lunch the other day at the corner pub. It was $50. So,
was it?
Well, I mean, it was almost $50 because I'm a big tipper.
Like 20.
I'm a big tipper because I was a waiter, and I think everybody should be a waiter at some point in their life.
Yes.
So anyways, they're underselling themselves. They really are. But the thing is that a lot of people in the music industry, when it comes to education, them shelling out $999 for an educational product is a big deal. Yeah. Them shelling out $9,999 is unheard of. So, I mean, that's just bravo to you.
But remember, it's like, so our smaller products that people will pay $9.99 for.
Yeah.
It's going to have a lot less information, but it is manageable for what their needs are at that time. Mm-hmm. And if they learn something out of it, they're going to come back, and then they might spend $20 and then $50. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to nurture people and show them quick wins.
Yeah.
So we don't ever go out to cold traffic and try to market a $10,000 program, because it would never sell.
Yeah.
So really that's for people. And I work in a hobbyist industry. Like, people think it's like their side hustle because they like to decorate or they plan their own wedding.
Yeah.
And so I learned that the hard way, where I'm like, why are people not buying this? Like, I'm telling you everything. And at first I took it personal until I went to a few marketing conferences, and I'm like, oh. And then I learned about sales funnels. I learned about nurturing and drip campaigns, and how you, for lack of a better term, build a cult of people who have or want what you have, which is the mindset of being productive and being able to check out. Mm-hmm. And the attorneys in the attorney world has done an amazing job educating consumers on, I charge X per hour. People know it. If you go to an entertainment attorney, you know if they have to review a contract or do anything, you're going to pay $575 at the bare minimum. Yep. But in our world, in weddings and music, because you have these hobbyists who will go play the drums for free because they love it and they just want someone to listen.
Yep.
And then you have those of us who actually run it as a business.
It drives the value down.
100%.
So, but it took
voiceover
time.
The same way.
It did not happen for you overnight, and you educated yourself, and you got the tools, and you learned, and you kept evolving, and you built this thing, and it took time. And so that's a great takeaway. And I did notice that you have some great suggestions for useful apps on angelaproffitt.com. Guys, it's angelaproffitt.com. It's 2 F's and 2 T's. It's been so amazing to have you. So if you're looking to have your next big event, soup to nuts, customized, taken care of, she's the gal. Angela Proffitt, angelaproffitt.com. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We really, really loved it. And we're going to leave you with this music. Kick it off.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up.
Yeah, guys.
Level up. Level up.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Come back next time for all the good stuff. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
This yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, level up, level up, level up.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.